Good day and welcome to another segment of In the Spotlight. I'm Superintendent Michael Richard, and today I'm pleased to be joined by two of our elementary principals, Mrs. Diane Doe from Mittenegg Elementary and Mr. Paul Heath from Tatham Elementary. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to start you off a little bit easy. The folks at home, they want to know who it is that our building leaders are. And so why don't you tell the audience where you grew up, where you went to school, and maybe how you ended up here in West Springfield. Diane, why don't you start?
Well, I'm a West Springfield girl, basically born and raised most of my life here. I went to school at Tatham. That was my elementary school, and then West Springfield High School. I graduated early and went to Westfield State College. Wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do at that point, but I ended up graduating with a degree in education and a minor in psychology. And then met the love of my life and got married and had two children and brought them up in West Springfield, went back to school and got my master's degree in administration. So I basically spent my career here.
Very good, very good. How about you, Paul?
So I grew up in Springfield and went to college at West New England College, graduated with a marketing degree. And then I went back to school and got a master's in elementary education and then a CAGS in elementary administration. And
so the folks at home know you've been in a couple of different buildings here
Yes.
since you've come to West Springfield.
Absolutely. So I started, or my career in Springfield, did 20 some odd years in Springfield, and my last position in Springfield was district math coach. And there was a vacancy at FOSI for a vice principal. And I applied thinking, hey, I wonder if this math coach would get me an interview. And lo and behold, it got me a job in Westside as a VP at FOSI. Stayed there for 1 year, and there was a retirement at Mittenegg. And so I became principal of Mittenegg for 4 years. And then the superintendent, there were some other retirements, and decided to transfer me to Tatham, which is where I've been for the last 10 years. So.
Very cool, very cool. So getting into education's an interesting experience for sure, and people take different paths to do that. There's a traditional student teaching experience that I'll ask Diane about, but there's also some non-traditional ways. Paul, tell me how you got into education.
Well, at the time of my college years, teachers were really, there weren't many teaching jobs at all, and I always wanted to be a teacher. I had a passion for it. But my parents kind of convinced me to do something else with my life. And so I was convinced to go with a business degree. So I did. I pursued a business degree with emphasis on marketing and graduated with a marketing degree from West New England. But in the search at the time of the graduation, it was part of a recession, so jobs were hard to come by. So in my looking for work, I began subbing at my old alma mater school. And there was a long-term sub position the following year, which they offered it to me, but with the stipulation that I would go back to school and get my certificate. And so I gladly accepted that. And then I went back to school, obviously, for elementary education. So that's how I kind of got involved
tell me how
in that.
Tell me how that long-term sub work was impactful on you as an educator, though.
Well, like I said, I always wanted to be a teacher. And as soon as I got my own classroom, I fell in love with it. And it was just a great experience. All the teachers in the building were just very collaborative, and we worked very well together. And it was just a great experience for me.
Good.
Loved it.
Good. So Diane, when you were in a rush to get out of school, you graduated early, and then you went on to college. But tell me your student teaching experience. What was that like, and how did it impact you as an educator?
I was so lucky to end up where I ended up. I was on the cusp of wanting to do middle school and elementary school, and I wasn't sure where I really belonged. So I was placed at Smith Avenue, which was a 5th and 6th combination school in Westfield at the time. And each of the groups were a team or a pod of teachers. Mr. Dick Witherell was my critic teacher, and it was great to be in his classroom. He was afraid of nothing, just full steam ahead with everything that he did. But there were 4 other teachers in this team, and so you had an opportunity to spend some time with all of them. And sometimes 2 classes would get together, and you'd be in front of 50 to 60 students, and you got that feeling, I can do this, I can do anything if I can do that. And then when the whole team would together, there might be 125 students that you would be in front, and you'd take charge, and you do, and I fell in love with everything about it. And in teaching, when things go right, it's like your feet don't even touch the floor. You're 6 feet off the floor and going. And when they don't, it's just this, how can I make it better? What could I do to change it and do it over again? It was great to see so many different styles. You see things you love, and you see things that don't fit. So it gives you an opportunity to try it on and see what really works for you. Like Paul, I have a passion for children, and I have a passion for teaching. So all my doubts about do I want this or not just fell to the wayside, and I just wanted to get out there and get going. One of the most, you said impactful, one of the most impactful things for me was my first week of student teaching. I went in January, the Challenger went up, and the students were in the cafeteria with televisions watching this, and it had such an impact on all of us, and how we dealt with it, and everybody came together. It showed me a side that I wouldn't necessarily see that would happen in school. And I think it impacted, I think every child probably remembers who they were sitting next to and what they were doing at the moment it happened, just like I did. So.
For sure. I can, in my own student teaching experience, I was in the classroom on my second week or so on 9/11. And so that's one of those things you'll always remember. And it does influence how you manage a classroom and how you continue to teach and educate and work and be supportive all at the same time. Lots of young adults coming out of West Springfield High School, which is where we are right now, want to be educators. They aspire to be teachers or administrators. Is there somebody from your experience as a student who impacted you or influenced you to pursue education? I know it wasn't your parents, Paul. I know. But was there a teacher who really made a difference and for you and said, that's what I want to do, and he or she is the reason why?
For me, I don't think it was one particular teacher. I don't know, there was something in me that just wanted to be part of this, to teach children. And I liked how you can be creative and kind of be on your own at some point in time, in some way or another. But I was passionate. Something about inside me was passionate about being in a school and teaching our youth. And they are our future. So
For sure. How about you, Diane?
Well, I guess it's twofold or manyfold. My mom was a teacher, and an incredibly inspiring teacher. I was fortunate enough we lived in West Springfield and she taught in Springfield, so our vacations were not the same. So my vacations were spent in the back of a classroom watching what was going on, and just watching the magic that could happen. When I say that I wasn't sure what I wanted, she would tell you she always knew this is where I belonged and this is where I would end up. But she didn't want to push me one way or the other and let me find that out for myself. In school, there were a couple. There was a second grade teacher, Carol Hurst in West Springfield, who took a bunch of us to college. She was working on getting a further degree, and she took us to her college class, and we sat and we read as second graders to these college students and answered questions and did all sorts of things. And that just made you feel so important in that I can do this, and valued as a student, and so many things. And she became a librarian later on, and then she wrote books, and she became a storyteller, went all over the United States telling stories. And I happened to go to one of her performances, if you will, and she recognized me and knew me, which blew me away because I was an adult and a teacher, and I had her in second grade, and I always wanted to make a difference like that. I wanted to make students feel valued and that they could do anything, because that's how she made me feel.
Wow, that's impressive. So as shifting gears a little bit to your specific schools, one of your biggest jobs that you do each year is bring people together to write your school improvement plan. Can you tell the audience at home maybe something that's in that plan that may not be readily apparent to just the average citizen? So something that you're doing that you really want to be able to celebrate that people may not necessarily know about. Diane.
So many things that we're working on, but one of the things I think I'm proudest of is the emphasis we're putting on STEM this year. We've been working really hard on science for the past few years in the building. We have a new curriculum from the state and from the town as well, and working to learn that and helping students to really get grounded in science and be able to do it. But the addition of the emphasis on STEM, there's not one answer that's the right answer. So it's that whole perseverance and stamina piece, but it's enveloped in fun and investigation and collaboration with the people around you and conversation about what you're doing. And whether it's STEM activities within the classroom or STEM activities with older and younger students together, or we had a STEM night in October where it was families that came in and did them. We've just seen such a richness in students willing to try different things and not look for the one single answer that's the right answer, but be open to the fact that anything's possible as long as you can explain it and make it work. And
Good, I like that. I like that. Paul, how about you?
So for us, it's really a focus on academic rigor. And so for math, for example, what we are doing a lot of work with is teaching a variety of skills and a variety of standards into one lesson. And so we are incorporating all kinds of skills and building on those thinking skills and make it challenging for all students. And that's what our real focus has been. Even in ELA and math, or ELA as well, is what's going on beyond what's in the written pages, what is between the lines and things of that sort. So academic rigor is really what we're focusing on.
So in the world of schools here in West Springfield, Mittenegg and Tatum are two of the smallest schools, for sure. But there's so much to celebrate. Is there something unique at your building, about your building, whether it's the physical structure, the people in it, whatever it might be? Is there something unique that people at home should know about? Diane?
with Mittenegg, I think that you feel it when you walk in the doors. Because it's so small, it is a real community. Teachers know every student. The students know every teacher. Parents know the students, even the new students that come in, they get to know them. It's not unusual to see a parent outside waiting with somebody else's child because that parent hasn't gotten there yet. We don't have very many neighborhood schools anymore, and there's a beauty in that. It truly becomes that village that you hear about, where people look out for each other and take care of each other. And I don't know, there's an excitement and ownership over things, and that's one of the things we always try to build with teachers and with students. And I think the type of school that it is promotes that and makes it happen a little bit easier maybe than some of the bigger schools.
How about at Tatum, Paul?
I would say a lot of ditto to what Diane said, but at the same time, I think because we're small, our teachers work very well together. I think one of our strengths is the collaboration piece, that they come to me and talk to me about concerns, or, hey, do you have something that might help me with math or with ELA? And I go back and forth. They share papers with what they've created, and for my files, for someone else who's coming into the profession maybe a year or two. It's just real collaboration. And like Diane said, the fact that it's small, we get to know our families very well. And we know the ins and outs. We've been through good times and bad times. So I think that's a real strength of Tatum as
Sure.
well. So.
Sure. So you both may have already answered what I was expecting to be the next question, which is, why do you really love working in West Springfield? Because it is evident to me every day working with both of you that your passion for education is here in West Side. But can you verbalize that to the audience at home? What is it about West Springfield that you love the most?
I truly do love working in West Springfield, and I don't know, the fact that as superintendent, we're not cookie cutter schools, and you don't try to make us be cookie cutter schools. You encourage us to be individuals and do what's right for our school. And at the same time, we share the district initiatives that we all follow and the curriculums that we all follow. But we do it in our own unique way. And I think sometimes the beauty, I worked at Fozzie School for many years, and I loved every minute I was there. And the beauty of Fozzie is not the same as what the beauty is of Mitten Egg. So what works there doesn't necessarily always work here, and vice versa. I love the fact that you not only allow us to do that, you embrace it and let us be who we are. Colleagues, I've worked with so many wonderful people over the years, from when I was a teacher to becoming a vice principal and then a principal, and I can't tell you a place that I've been, a grade that I've been in, anything that I didn't love every minute of what it was. And I think that's the families. You talked about 9/11, my class at 9/11, those students are still in contact with me. We write to each other, Facebook each other, call each other, bump into each other. It's that kind of a community where you can make those connections and keep them forever.
Right. All right, Paul.
And it's not just one word. I think I love the collaboration with the colleagues. I think the administrators in this district are phenomenal. Everyone pitches in and helps one another. I think that's a true asset of West Springfield. But I have to say, families are, for me, is what it's all about. I've been fortunate to be at Tatum for 10 years, and over those 10 years, you get to know the families very, very well. You go through good times, you go through bad times, and they're just wonderful and truly, truly supportive. So sometimes you have to make those phone calls that aren't so pleasant, but because they know you and we know them, that those conversations are good conversations, and they're all for the kids. So that's what I really love about West Springfield.
Good. I like hearing it. Community and certainly in families are outstanding. So I'm about to let you off the hook, but there's one final question that I ask every guest here that comes and sits in the spotlight, and that is, who would you like to see featured in the spotlight? So Paul, I'll give you a chance to go first. You can either tee somebody up that you really want to see sit in the hot seat, or maybe somebody whose story really needs to be told.
Well, maybe, again, I think some students from each of our schools might be a great way to let the kids tell their stories about the schools that they attend.
All right. We can certainly do that. I know that we've had high school students on, and we will continue to have high school students on. It's convenient being here in the building, but I like the idea of bringing some students from the elementary levels. Diane, how about you?
I thought of the students too, and I thought our level, but not just our level, like the students that have just graduated, that have spent a year away from our school, like maybe some of them coming back and saying what West Springfield meant to them. How did it prepare you for what you're going to do in the world, or what you're doing right now by going to school? I'm always interested to see what happens when they get a little bit beyond our vision for right now.
Good.
So.
Well, I think we're going to make some of that stuff work for sure. I appreciate those suggestions. It's been a real pleasure to be joined today by Mr. Heath and Mrs. Doe. I appreciate you joining us for this segment of In the Spotlight, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.